us haven't seen each other.
We haven't seen each other.
Right. We would chit chat. Well, yeah, on Tuesday is where I met Ebony Weathers, and she had mentioned to me that, oh, this weekend, San Diego Unified is, I know, right? Is San Diego Unified, and the teachers from 25 or 26 years ago will be marching the parade with the original banner. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is awesome. I mean, what was it? Have you guys marched? When was the last parade that you marched in?
Well, you mean
as a group?
As a group
As
with
a
San Diego
group?
Unified.
When was the last time we
Well,
marched?
in 1998, we marched with the new Superintendent Alan Burson, and then after he became the superintendent that September, he cut all the district committees, so he cut our committee. So then we started marching as part of the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, GLSEN, and Alan Burson even marched with GLSEN, and board members did, but once he sunset that committee, we couldn't use that banner, so we started marching with GLSEN until,
Yeah, so
I have
GLSEN
pictures
got
of 2000.
started up, and I think 98 was probably the last year we marched, because that's when we were tear gassed, right?
Yeah.
That was 98 when the tear gas went off right in front of the contingent. So yeah.
You guys were tear gas?
Yeah. And we were walking down University, and the wind was blowing from west, from west to east, because that's what it does in San Diego, and it just blew right in all of our faces. And I had a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was on his bike.
What did you have to explain to your son?
That is probably the most tender moment of Alan Burson, is I will always be his champion, because I look over and my son's, the effects of tear gas, he's crying, and Alan Burson's holding his chin, and he says, "This is why we march, young man." Oh. And I thought, I'll never forget that as long as I live. So I didn't need to tell him anything. So, and my little one was in the stroller all wrapped up because we were trying to get her to take a nap. So she didn't get affected by it. So, and my mom was there too. My mom was marching with us.
But
so
people continued to march.
We stopped.
We kind of dispersed for a while,
Yep.
and then everybody just kind of turned around and we regrouped and continued to march.
Yeah, there was a gap, about a 5-minute gap in the parade.
Yeah.
And nobody at the end knew what happened. We were the only ones that knew.
Yeah.
And we were the next contingency after that. We were the first ones then that went forward. Because the moms and me and dad's too, which was a mom and gay family group, was right behind us.
Right.
So we were all together. All the kids. That's where they throw the tear gas, with all the kids, all of our children.
And that was the picture that you had shown me. Who brought the picture? The picture. Was that year that had happened?
Well,
because it's like usually.
I think maybe it was, but it was some individual. It wasn't at that point. It was over, just before Big City Bagels are in that area.
Yeah.
I think.
How meaningful will it be to come back and march on Saturday?
Oh my God, it's like I couldn't believe that we would live to see this day, when students can make a difference and say we want a flag, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we flew the flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like there was a period of time early on. I mean, Maureen O'Connor was still mayor. That's how long ago it was, where walking in the parade was risking stuff, let alone walking in the parade as an identified lesbian or as an identified gay man. And that began to shift. But one of the things I remember about walking behind our banner about a closet is no place to teach, and is as we were coming down the street, people on the sides, you could hear people say, "Oh my God, they're teachers. They're teachers." They were, I think, moved that we were out there, and I think that we enabled others who might have been more reticent to realize that they could step out, that they could be seen, and it would be okay.
And that it has no boundaries, and for teachers to be able to show that as examples to students or other occupations that, it's okay.
Yeah, we had to make ourselves safe. Like we had to pass the resolution. It was just our turn. It was our turn to step up and do what was next. It just sort of all fell together, I think. And it was just like we made ourselves safe, and then we had health insurance, and then we could pretty much tell anybody anything, right? We were not going to get fired. Right? We could not get fired at that point. So then we could stand up.
But yet there was still fear in the district because until Cindy Martin said and was on the video on the website that LGBT folks were safe and students and staff, people still didn't know if their principal, even though we had the policy, but if their principal was too frightened to talk to a parent and just wanted to fire you, they could fire you for some other reason and you wouldn't have any idea. So it really wasn't until I think when the highest up person in the district was now making everybody accountable that I think everybody could have a sigh of relief.
Because was there the fear, and like you said, the fear, you didn't know if you were protected or not, but marching in the parade or being vocal during board meetings or other committees, that there would be backlash.
Oh, there was backlash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were very uncomfortable because we hadn't had much practice at being who we were, only privately.
Yeah.
I've been in the Army, I was in Vietnam, I'm a Purple Heart veteran. All those years doing that, I had to be so closeted, and a decorated soldier. And to go into education, it was just more of the same. And it was remarkable after 20 years of teaching that this group of people began to come together and hold us all up. We were very brave. We were very brave to show up there. If we were out in public anywhere prior to that, we looked over our shoulder all the time. But that all changed. That all changed with the support of this group. We became very confident and moved forward from that.
Yeah. Well, and during Prop 8, I had to drive through to my school every morning with my kids were out of elementary school by then, but parents of the kids I had to go teach were on the corner with their Yes on 8 signs. So I had to go through that every single day and down Mira Mesa Boulevard, so there was lots of backlash over the years. We just never quit.
Yeah.
We just kept moving forward.
And I think that when you have someone powerful like a superintendent who says they have a place here, they count. Still, there are principals who can be difficult.
Even parents too. Right?
Yeah,
If
I
they
had
found out that their child was being taught.
And directors,
I had a peer tutor, a young man, who was sitting in my classroom at lunch, and he was clearly upset. And when I asked him what was wrong, he said, "I'm gay." And I said, "Good, so am I." And he got the funniest look on his face. He said, "I want to tell my parents, but my parents will throw me out." I said, "Oh, I suspect not." "Oh, they will." I said, "If you want to tell them, I will go with you. I won't tell them, that's your business, but I'll sit in the car or wherever you need me to be." He said, "You will?" I said, "Yeah." So he told some friends, some of whom told parents, who went to my principal. And the next day I got to work, there was a note in my mailbox, "Would I please go to the principal's office?" So I did. And, his response was, "Sherry, is it possible," because he knew, "is it possible that you identified yourself to students?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You cannot do that." I said, "I already did it, and I don't understand why that is." He said, "Because now I'm going to have to take those peer tutors out of your class because the parents, they are fine. Their parents are afraid that your influence on them will make their children gay."
I mean, as you're telling the story, I'm thinking, oh, by telling them this, then they think it's your fault that he's gay.
Yeah.
it's mind-boggling
Isn't
to
that-
me, but
it's
it's
powerful
the reality of
that
it.
we have that
I mean,
much
the
power.
unfortunate.
We are very powerful
We are
people.
very powerful.
We can make anybody gay.
And you say it's mind-boggling, or I say it's mind-boggling, but that was the reality of it.
That's what it was. We had
But so much has changed, though.
so much has changed.
And in respect to that, I'm very involved in my church, and I teach Sunday school these days. And they're so happy that a retired professional teacher works with the children. And most of the children I work with are African immigrant children, and the parents are so happy that the kids are in the hands of a professional teacher, and I get to do what I do best, teach kids.
Yeah.
And isn't it awesome? I mean, the Pride Parade, how it just keeps growing and
Yeah.
growing. They got to start it at 10 a.m. this year because it just goes on
It's
for
too
so
big.
long.
Yeah.
Right? And to think, I mean, it probably wasn't nearly that long in 93 or 93.
I don't
Pretty
remember.
long.
You know what?
still-
It was
it was-
really long because I was 9 months pregnant, and we
Yeah.
turned that corner on university, and I just from onto 6th, and I just started to cry because I thought it was done, and I was just I had to do it the first time, but I was so tired. It's like, and I just cried and
It's
just
been
kind of
big
moved
for
over.
years.
So
I mean, you guys are really pioneers for the change within the school district and for the students who may struggle now, even maybe teachers who may struggle now. We have made many, many, many strides, but we still hear of a lot of struggles trying to tell their parents they'll get kicked out. Now, you know, like back then it was LG, now it's B, then it was T,
Yeah.
Q, now it's IA. You know, all different types of identifiers that people struggle with, and who knows what other letters are going to be added to it.
and that's why the flag's a rainbow. It includes everybody, no matter what the letter is. But if that letter, if it gets as long as the alphabet, that's why it's a rainbow flag. It's everybody.
And we have to remember, we're just one of 43 districts in this county, and most other districts are, I think, nowhere near where San Diego Unified and Sweetwater are, because we've been working at it in those two districts a long time, and there's a lot of fear in the conservative areas, and even though there are teachers and principals and superintendents who may be supportive, you know, they don't have the freedom to act the way that Cindy and Tom Payson and Karen Janney have done. So we still have work to do. We're just the fortunate ones here in San Diego and Sweetwater.
And to be able to show, you know, just keep fighting the fight.
We made it. We made it. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do, but they're flying the flag at the Ed Center.
At City or at the City Hall.
Oh, everywhere.
You know?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just
it's like who can do it next?
Yeah,
you know?
it's just have to be gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then when I was on the phone with you yesterday, it said, do you know how many teachers are going to come back? And you had said something really poignant to me, and I thought, you said, well, I can't get a hold of a lot of them, but also you don't know what's happened to them.
So if you were a teacher and you were in the First Thursday group, come and march with us. We're a contingent 69B, I believe, and come and march with us. So come and march with us because we'd love to see you.
But you'd also said maybe some of them have passed.
Yeah,
Sure,
well, we
yes.
were having that discussion because we're talking 93, so we had AIDS, and several of our teachers passed away of AIDS. We were talking about a young man, Michael, who lived around the corner from me. He took his life. We were in First Thursday, I remember, because we were still meeting, and so he had taken his own life. And so there's some of us that didn't make it.
Derek Palmer had AIDS, and he was at SCPA, and he always asked me, Jen, when is this going to make a difference for students and staff? And in 1994, he couldn't march, and so we got a car for him, and he died that September. So he's been on my shoulder always. So when these flags raised, it was like, Derek, we did it. Thank you for being there.
I think one of the things that is remarkable about this group, about First Thursday, is how gentle they are. Yes, there's a lot of work to do, but it's not about confrontation. it's about embrace. And so I feel it makes it safer for people who are reluctant, scared, to know that there's a place and that they don't have to fight. Will we fight? We will if we need to, you bet.
It's like you don't feed bees with vinegar, you know?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Right.
I said you don't feed bees with vinegar,
Right.
you know?
Bees
like
with vinegar.
Honey. Yeah.
You feed them with honey. You feed bees with honey, not vinegar.
I'm sorry, I'm really hard of hearing.
Oh,
I'm trying to
no,
figure
yeah,
out what
it's just
you're
meaning
saying.
like with the confrontation, you know, but it's like, it's just being sweeter and nicer and embracing, because then that's how, because if you're confronting them, then it just sounds like you're just a group of angry people, and that's not the case at all.
Because some of us weren't ready.
Well,
Some of us weren't ready to do what had to be done, and that was okay. Everybody played a part. You know, if they brought deviled eggs to First Thursday or they stood up to the school board meeting, everybody played a part. And that,
And I think they knew that I do know they knew that they would not be outed. We would not share the names. We would not bring them up if we were meeting with someone else. I mean, we were very conscious of each other and cared for each other.
and also there's a particular demeanor about us. When we're working with second graders, we do it with kindness. And we were kind people. And we still are. And there's a gentleness about a teacher working with students. You don't have success any other way, and it's difficult for us to be combative. It was very difficult for us to do that.
somebody asked why it took so long to raise the flag, which I really took to heart, because I thought, why did it take so long? And Superintendent Martin asked me once, why did we stop meeting the first Thursday group? And I thought, there were other things to do. I mean, I started thinking about the timeline. There was the health benefits, and then,
I think there
Sensitivity
was
training.
a feeling that we had accomplished
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And then after whatever 5 years that we marched, after that, then the sheriffs and the policemen started to march.
Military.
And then the military the year after that. So all of these, I think we kind of paved the way for groups that were, I think we just felt like we kind of accomplished something, even
Passing
though
the baton on to
even
somebody
though
else,
even though the
you know.
job wasn't really done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Dr. Paysan's committee, then after we had the non-discrimination policy and the policies, we then created a training, and we trained over teachers and architects and school bus drivers at over 120 district locations on what it meant to have non-discrimination in those policies. And we used words, and there was the common language, so there was sexual orientation, and people were just like, reeling, but we did that back then and had staff and students, and we had straight people from the community that were team members, and so we did.
Had a prayer of a transgender student. What was
Yeah.
her name?
Evelyn.
Evelyn was the mom,
Yeah.
and I can't remember the daughter's name, but we had a parent of a transgender student
And
in our district.
her son had said one day, "Mom, I need to be a girl," and so she wrote a book about it, and she came to our committee and said, "When are you going to add the transgender?" And we were like, "What's that?" And so she taught us, and she brought the book, and she introduced us to her daughter and her two other sons. But so it was. There were a lot of things going on, and we did everything we could, and we would have done more, but Alan Burson sunset all the committees and ours, and then it took until Cindy Martins came to get another one going. So.
Is there anything else? I gotta give him a break. He's had the camera on his shoulder. I don't want him to keep. It gets like really heavy.
And
so
the other
I was like,
thing
I
I
don't
thought about is we were all in the defense. We all got married in 08, right?
Yeah.
We were all. That was the summer of love, we called it, because we were going to 2 and 3 weddings. So we've been around a long time. I guess that makes you sound old. I'm not ready to be that yet, just so you know.
We did retire early. I mean, after this, we left the district. Yeah, we weren't involved anymore as a community.
Yeah, or as a group, right.
But you guys still keep in touch?
A little bit.
Yeah,
We're on Facebook, yeah.
yeah.
Right, that's how it always helps it.